that was so like a knife to my heart. Just to think that someone wouldn't believe you is like, you don't know who I am. I didn't think for a second that they were less harmful because of their age, or that they wouldn't have killed me because of their age. I did not think that they were old when they came in the room. They had guns.
Just like crying and like, tell them I have babies.
8 out of the 10 that were charged were convicted and found guilty.
Hearing the verdict, guilty, is so satisfying.
I think everything in life happens for a reason, even if it's really traumatic. I learn from it, I grow from it, and I'm a better person because of it.
In what has become one of the most emotionally significant, legally important, and deeply personal moments in Kim Kardashian's entire public life, a woman who has spent more than 2 decades living under constant scrutiny, documentation, and media attention as one of the most famous and recognizable celebrities on the planet, Kim Kardashian had her daughter North's support, protection, and love in the form of a treasured childhood gift while heading into her Paris robbery trial, a legal proceeding that required her to travel back to France and confront the traumatic memories of one of the most terrifying and life-altering experiences she has ever endured, when she was bound, gagged, threatened, and robbed of millions of dollars worth of jewelry in a violent home invasion that left her fearing for her life and fundamentally changed her relationship with fame, security, social media, and her own sense of safety in the world. A warm welcome to Celebrity Gossip. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss the latest updates and hot gossip on the Kardashians and your favorite celebrities. On this week's incredibly emotional and revealing episode of The Kardashians, which continues to provide viewers with unprecedented access to the most private, vulnerable, and meaningful moments in the lives of one of the most famous families in entertainment history, Kim, who is 45 years old and has spent years processing and healing from the trauma of this violent crime that occurred during Paris Fashion Week in 2016, when she was at the height of her fame and was regularly flaunting her wealth, luxury lifestyle, and expensive jewelry on social media platforms where anyone with malicious intent could track her location and monitor her activities, traveled back to Paris to testify in court and face the men who allegedly perpetrated this horrifying crime against her, nearly a decade after the incident occurred. Before heading into the courtroom to take the stand and provide her testimony about the events of that terrifying night, when she genuinely believed she was going to be raped, killed, or both, as masked men dressed as police officers broke into her hotel room in the middle of the night and subjected her to an ordeal that would haunt her for years to come, Kim spoke with her childhood friend Simone Harouche, who was staying in a room downstairs in the same hotel while the robbery occurred, and who has remained a close confidant and loyal friend throughout all the years of Kim's fame, fortune, and the various personal challenges and tragedies that have marked her journey through life in the public eye. "Do you remember this?" Kim asked Simone during their conversation before the trial, holding up a small Lavo treasure box that clearly held enormous sentimental value and emotional significance for the reality television star and business mogul who has accumulated hundreds of millions of dollars worth of material possessions throughout her life, but who clearly values this simple plastic toy more than almost any of her expensive designer items or luxury goods. "North gave me this Lego and was like, 'This is a treasure box that will keep you safe, mommy. I am putting magical things in it,'" Kim explained, recounting the sweet and innocent gesture that her eldest daughter had made when Kim was preparing to travel overseas for Paris Fashion Week nearly a decade earlier, when North was just a tiny 3-year-old child who wanted to protect her mother and keep her safe during her international trip. "So I would put it by my bed and we would be like, 'I made it another night from ISIS,'" Kim continued, revealing the surprising and somewhat shocking context that she and Simone have been genuinely worried and anxious about the possibility of terrorist attacks during their time in Paris. "We kept thinking it was like ISIS that was going to get us," Kim explained, referring to the Islamic State terrorist organization that was extremely active in Europe during that time period and had carried out devastating attacks in Paris and other European cities, creating widespread fear, anxiety, and heightened security concerns among travelers, celebrities, and anyone visiting major metropolitan areas that were considered potential targets. "No, I remember that part," Simone responded, confirming that she too recalled their conversations about terrorism fears and the anxiety they both felt during that trip to Paris, never imagining that the actual threat Kim would face would come not from international terrorists, but from local criminals who have been monitoring her social media accounts, tracking her movements, and planning a sophisticated robbery that would target her specifically because of her public displays of wealth and her well-documented collection of extremely valuable jewelry. In a confessional interview segment where Kim had the opportunity to reflect on the significance of this Lego treasure box and explain its importance to viewers who might not understand why she would place so much emotional value on a simple children's toy, Kardashian explains that North had given her this toy specifically to protect her as she went overseas on what would turn out to be one of the most traumatic and life-changing trips of her entire life. "So right before my trip to Paris 9 years ago, North, when I was leaving, she must have been 3 years old, and Saint was 1 year old," Kim explains, providing context about her children's ages at the time and setting the scene for this poignant memory of a mother preparing to leave her young children for an international business trip. "She gave me a Lego treasure box," Kim says simply, describing the gift that would take on profound significance in the aftermath of the robbery. "For some reason, I was so nervous about going on this trip," Kim continued, revealing that she had experienced premonitions or intuitive feelings of anxiety and fear before traveling to Paris that autumn. "I was so nervous about ISIS. ISIS was such a thing at that time, and I was like, oh my God, they're going to get us," she explains, describing the legitimate security concerns and terrorist threats that were dominating news coverage and creating fear among travelers, celebrities, and anyone visiting major metropolitan areas that were considered potential targets. "When they took all my stuff during the robbery, that was the only thing that they left behind," Kim reveals, with emotion evident in her voice. "And so it kept me safe," she concludes, finding meaning, comfort, and even a sense of protection in the fact that the one item the robbers did not steal was the treasure box that her young daughter had given her with the explicit intention of keeping her mother safe from harm. Back in the scene with Simone Harouche before the trial, Kim tells her childhood friend that the Lego toy box was the only thing the robbers did not take from her during that terrifying night when they stole millions of dollars worth of jewelry and left her traumatized, bound, and fearing for her life in the bathtub of her luxury hotel suite. "They grabbed me and took me into the hallway," Kim said in her police report at the time, according to French newspaper Le Journal des Dimanche. "I was wearing a bathrobe, naked underneath. Then we went back in the room again and they pushed me on the bed. And it was at this time that they tied me up with plastic cables and taped my hands. Then they put tape over my mouth and my legs," she recounted, describing the terrifying ordeal in graphic detail. "They then placed her in a bathtub and stole millions of dollars worth of jewelry from her, including 2 diamond Cartier bracelets, a gold and diamond Jacob necklace, Lorraine Swartz diamond earrings, a gold Rolex watch, and numerous other extremely valuable items that represented years of collecting, gifting, and accumulation of luxury goods." Nearly a decade later, after the trial was postponed several times because of its legal complexity and the challenges of prosecuting multiple defendants in a high-profile international case, Kim Kardashian finally took the stand to testify against the suspects involved in the robbery, facing her attackers and providing her account of that traumatic night. Ultimately, 8 of the 10 defendants were found guilty, providing Kim with some measure of justice and closure. "The crime was the most terrifying experience of my life, leaving a lasting impact on me and my family," Kim told People magazine in a statement after the trial concluded. "While I will never forget what happened, I believe in the power of growth and accountability and pray for healing for all. I remain committed to advocating for justice and promoting a fair legal system," she said with grace and maturity. New episodes of The Kardashians drop Thursdays on Hulu.